Recently my car went for MOT and it was discovered to have quite a large hole in the exhaust. You can see there it's blowing out of this hole here. So I'm going to have a little think and come up with some kind of repair. So I've took a wire brush to it, and I think what I'm going to do, yeah, it seems to be pretty good metal. I think we can get away with filling it in with something. What I'm going to do is take an angle grinder to this. I don't know what this is, but I want to remove this ledge, and I think I'll remove that ledge too behind it, just to make everything nice and smooth. It's serving no purpose. We've got those hangers there. It's just in the way. It's probably the source of one of the reasons why it corroded, really. Probably a water magnet, and that's why it occurred. So we'll take the grinder to this and smooth it out. So I put a flap disc in the angle grinder. I do have some grinding discs if that don't cut it. And as I'm working underneath the car, I've got a set of good goggles for grinding in. I do actually prefer these goggles which cover up all your face in the main. That spectacles are all very well, but you can get corners. But that's just my opinion. A piece of rust or what have you has ricocheted into my eyeball before today. So I've had a think about this. I've been grinding away. That's changed to a grinding disc, and I've had a think about I could use these here with a welding repair. Just need to insert a patch in the centre of it, and a bit of detective work. I do actually think that was perhaps the original place where the exhaust was hung from, and that gave way, and then what we're perhaps looking at here is some aftermarket bolt-on solution, which is quite good in itself. So we'll proceed to form a patch. So this is how I'm thinking of repairing it. I've got a piece of card, made a template up, fit that in there and weld it full circle. I've just done a job which has generated this piece of card. Bonus points for identifying the make. So I've got a piece of card here. Now next stage is to transcribe this into some steel. I think I'm perfectly capable of doing it without marking it. So I've got my trusty metal cutters here. And we'll just go freehand. It never gets any easier, but it is possible. So I've just got to cut it to length. So I've now got my piece of steel. It's slightly larger there, but I think a quick kiss with the angle grinder will knock that into submission, and I just want to straighten it out and perhaps put a slight curve in it. So I'll just crush it with the vise, release, reposition, crush it again. Okay, I've made my piece of steel fit, and before I get too carried away, there's one thing I need to do first, and that's disconnect the battery. So I'm disconnecting the negative side of the battery, and there is a reason for that, because these spanners make excellent conductors. So if you're disconnecting the positive, you hit the car body, sparks, you short your battery. So that's why I always disconnect the negative prior to doing any welding on the vehicle. So here's me trusty flux cord MIG welder, all gas. I'll be using it in flux cord. I've got the power set, well, I will set the power low. You should always use the lowest setting when working on exhausts. And we've got the earth here. I'll just give that a little movement, you know, just to scratch it in so we get a good conductor, and I'll get underneath the car and strike an arc. I'll just explain the plan before I start welding it, because I'm not going to film that, not all of it anyway. The plan's, see, it's wedged in really nicely, which is a real bonus when you're doing any welding underneath a vehicle. The plan's to start here, lay a bead there, and obviously we'll be going all the way around it. But the first thing is to just fix it to the vehicle. Well, I've done my best job, given the poor access you have underneath a vehicle unless you've got some decent ramps. It's quite a fiddly process welding an exhaust. I would actually recommend, if you're determined to do it, just take very short pulses, because you will blow through in places, as I have done here. If I were concerned about vanity, I could dress it up with an angle grinder, but I'm not too bothered because it's an exhaust at the end of the day. So we're just going to do one more test, which I'm going to repeat off camera. What I'm going to do is just get a little piece of paper, start the car up, and just offer it round there and just see if there's any little pinholes or anything I've missed, and then touch that in, and then we complete. I've repaired quite a few exhausts over the years, and good news is it saved me a small fortune. Thanks for watching. Why not like and subscribe to learn of more repair possibilities?